Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing my final video summary regarding the 5 things that I learned about English language learners. So here we go. All right, so my first takeaway from what I learned about teaching English language learners relates to the academic language, including some important truths about academic language and some strategies for implementing it in classrooms with these types of students. The importance of academic language in any course is critical for understanding and strong discourse in a subject. According to Melissa Barrow's paper on academic language, it can take upwards of 5 to 7 years for an English language learner to obtain the necessary mastery of a language in order to be able to implement these types of specific vocabulary. Surprisingly, in her presentation, Judith Moskovich mentions the fact that it is not critical for students to begin learning at a level where they are able to use academic language. Instead, a teacher should encourage them to participate using various forms of discourse, including classroom conversation, using language which they are more accustomed to and from their everyday lives and experiences, even if this language is imperfect and less precise. From there, a teacher can slowly help build upon an ELL student's understanding and confidence to use these more precise and subject-specific words. A skilled teacher will be able to connect new concepts to familiar ones which students may have learned in their native language. This connection can aid in growing their comprehension even if their language skills are still underdeveloped. My second important key takeaway is regarding the importance of giving students an opportunity to demonstrate that they have learned a concept. An unskilled teacher might ask their students at the end of a lesson whether they feel confident in their understanding of the day's lesson. The problem with that is that it's simply asking the students for a one-word answer, either a yes or a no. Often students who are ELL or ones who may have difficulty in a subject will answer in the affirmative simply because they don't want to draw attention to themselves, whether they are embarrassed of their language skill or subject skill. A skilled teacher will be able to ask more in-depth questions of their students to gauge their understanding, whether asking for a description or example or assigning an exit ticket. A teacher should never assume that their students understand without evidence. Moskovich states that the Common Core standards are beneficial to teachers in helping them to use learning objectives to determine ways for students to prove this evidence. For my third takeaway, I wanted to focus on a concept which I learned in this class, which I plan to use in my classroom this year. Sentence stems are a powerful scaffolding tool which teachers can use to give students a starting place to begin their conversational discourse. I love this tool because, as I've been realizing, it's not just the ELL students who will benefit from this help. Erin Wagoner describes how she asked her students in her class one time if they had ever struggled with how to talk about math, and many of the students responded that that was true. I've seen this struggle in my own classroom as well, and unfortunately, many students have learned that mathematics is a subject of singular words, yeses, nos, and simply stating their answers. By encouraging students to speak to each other using dialogue, their understanding of the subject will grow as they become accustomed to explaining their ideas more fully. Along with this, ELL students will also increase their language skills, even in a math classroom. I'm looking forward to trying out these sentence stems to see if they help my students to feel more comfortable when having math discussions this year. And fourthly, Moskovich states that an educator must teach math for understanding. Again, she states that Common Core is a valuable tool for helping teachers to do that. This one is huge for me this year as I've gotten my administrator on board for our school to begin transitioning to a Common Core curriculum for all of our mathematics courses. My biggest frustration that I have experienced is how many math textbooks and curriculums simply teach students to the steps that they need to solve the problems of different types, but they never really give them any indication of how and why these concepts are useful in their everyday lives. Through my limited experience with Common Core, it has become clear that Common Core does teach with a primary goal of teaching for understanding. This is of huge importance for student success. Specifically for ELL students, though, it places a huge emphasis on the importance of language, vocabulary, and discourse as a method for them learning experimentation and how to formulate and self-assess themselves, as well as teacher assessment. Moskvich claims that through combining the teaching of conceptual understanding and procedural fluency, a teacher can make connections between what the student already knows while further developing what students know about new concepts by helping the students to connect these two types of knowledge. Finally, the importance of precision in the language usage of a teacher is of critical importance, and especially with ELL students. There are many words in the English language which sound familiar but have multiple meanings, and this can be incredibly difficult and frustrating for these students who may be more familiar with more common usage and not the academic usage of a word. On top of that, there are many concepts in mathematics that are similar but not equivalent. I've had difficulty with not being precise as I need to be in my classroom, and I've seen it lead to confusion in my students, and it always takes additional time for me to restate my imprecise statements and just to help clear up any misconceptions that those students have. One example that I've been guilty of using is improperly calling something an equation or a function when it's not. One example of that would be looking at inequalities or expressions, and those aren't equations, so the students have been confused. I'll say that in this course, it's given me a greater appreciation of the importance of being precise and concise in my use of academic language. And just even in just having my understanding of viewing math as a language and an opportunity to teach students to have discussions about what they're learning as a way of taking what they're learning and applying it to their world. So, all right, well, that's all I have for you guys. It's been an awesome course, and I've learned a bunch, and I look forward to seeing you guys in about a month. All right, thanks so much.